I meet a young man on the street who's dealing with this ambition issue. Let me jump right into this.
Trying to pursue a better life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're saying sometimes
Like
your own
chasing
ambition.
money.
Yeah, okay, your own ambition can sometimes get in the way.
For sure.
Okay, well, so when did you notice? When did you notice that the ambition was actually getting in the way? Because typically we tend to say you're ambitious, wonderful. We tend to want people to be ambitious. We're kind of trained and raised to be that way.
Mm.
But you started noticing that this money chasing thing is getting in the way somewhere. Where did that happen?
Like a lot of people ain't on that, so I might push a lot of people away with that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, by saying, hey, look, you can do better than the $60,000 a year at a job that they're trying to pay you at.
But they cool with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, no, they understand. I understand. You understand.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it really is about you're trying to force people to evolve before they're ready.
For sure.
Okay, and you're saying that. When did you notice that become an issue?
When I started pushing people away.
Who was the person that you were like? Who was just like, man, I can't even fuck with James no more?
No, I wasn't even on that. It's just like friends and stuff. Like that's all I talk about, like money and how to get money and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I'm in the park. What's today? Saturday. But I be in the park every day, but they be at work. So I be like, you can live like this too. And I feel like that pushed them away, like that scared them type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what they don't call as much anymore?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
What happens when he chases the money? What happens when he's paper chasing? When his very ambition has created a life for him that is pushing away the people that he loves, the people that he was close to. It's like in a way, James is trading his relationships at the current moment for this new life. And sometimes that comes with the territory. But the problem is when we do not recognize that in the very pursuit of the cash, it could be a relationship, it could be just of status, just being seen differently. In the very pursuit of our desire, of our one thing, we trade in the very things that make life actually worth it. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that as you elevate in life, your friendships and your relationships aren't going to change. They definitely are. But are you putting enough time, enough attention into all of the facets of your life, or are you just focused on that one thing, that one goal? If you have to trade a life that you love just to get something you think you want, to me, that's not good enough. I want it all. But I know of only one thing that can give me the all in all, that can give me everything at once. I got to tell you about one of my life's biggest failures. My biggest failure. One of them, anyway. So check it out. Because when I saw James on the street, the reason I was like, oh man, yeah, we all been there before, is because of this story I need to share with you right now. Where it's like you're trading value and valuable things for a narrow vision of the future, for something you think you want. Dude. So let me talk to you like this. After I retired in 2020, I started a project to help women in the culture with type 2 diabetes. I wanted to help them reverse the disease, just to heal it completely, right? And so I had like this whole mission being built out. I ended up and messed around and I got New York Times best-selling physician Dr. Joel Furman to agree to do a podcast with me for a year and a half for free. Okay, I had software built. I had a network of doctors, dietitians, personal trainers. Dude, 300 new group members in a private Facebook group a month, 3,500 followers on the Facebook page. I had 5 interns, access to capital, the co-founder of Afrotech feeding me game on the weekly. I'm sorry, on the monthly. On paper, I looked unstoppable. I looked unstoppable. What I wanted to do was build a health empire while serving my community, while building generational wealth. What's not to like? What's not to like? And so, deep down, though, I wanted to live a full life that I'd be proud of. I wanted to live a full life that I'd be proud of when I died so that I could know that I meant something. You dig? I wanted to live a life that I actually loved, a life of purpose. That's what I was really after. If you get down to the nit grit of it, I wanted to show the world that I was bigger than they said I was. You dig what I'm saying? More than just a scholar, more than just a sales dude, more than just a, you know what I'm saying? But even as everything was growing, I felt empty. I just felt a whole bunch of pressure to make sure I'm serving and make sure I'm doing everything I need to be doing. I couldn't quit because I had this belief that, quitting was weakness. So I was like, I ain't quitting. I'm about to let's just go ahead and do this. And then whatever I want to do after that, I can do after that. I messed around and met Dwayne The Rock Johnson's chef, right, through some networking. And I was like, okay, well, shoot, yeah, I got the dietitians on board. I got the physicians on board. I got the personal trainers on board. I just need some chefs to kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like help make some of these meals more palatable. You know what I'm saying? Make them taste like how they need to so that people stick with the plans and whatnot. And she took one look at my software. She took one look at the product and she was like, this ain't it. She said, you did not put your heart into this. This is not great. You're holding a piece of yourself back. And I can see it when I look at this product. That blew me away. She said, that's because the world is waking up. Her words pierced every illusion that I was carrying. I was like, yo, so you mean that you can see energy in the product itself? Ooh. Which made me question my alignment. What am I doing here? It wasn't but 2 days later, I'm on the phone with a client and she's telling me about her husband. He, bringing home snacks. And I was like, oh, girl, you know what? He better leave them chips at work. And I caught myself and I was like, what am I doing? Who am I becoming? What am I doing? It's not the fact that it wasn't a noble mission. It was. It was the fact that my heart posture, the way that I was sitting in the situation, was driven by something that was not divine. It was driven by desire, driven by ambition. So it wasn't like I was just building the wrong business. I was becoming the wrong person, the wrong version of me. You feel me? And so I stopped everything on air, right on the YouTube. You know what I'm saying? On YouTube video, I was like, hey, this is going to be our last meeting with Dr. Furman. And he was like, oh, what? All right. He was like, I mean, I'm kind of giving you, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of paths. Like this is the easiest. This is the easiest that's going to get. I sent recommendation letters out to my interns, and I plan to answer one question: what do I actually love? What do I actually love? That one question is the only thing that could take me beyond my own personal ambition. It's not about what I get or even what happens once I begin the journey. Once I'm working on a project, I start asking myself, okay, what is the energy with which I am working on a project? I need to know that, because if I'm working with the right energy, I can deal with whatever consequences or rewards happen to come. But if working with the wrong energy, I'm producing nonsense that people can look at and be like, this ain't it. Not only am I not enjoying my time, I'm actually wasting my time. You dig what I'm saying? And so after I shut everything down, like there came a moment where I was like, okay, here comes that fear. What about all that generational wealth? What about the momentum? What about all the good I was supposed to be doing? You have an ability, why not use it in order to help people? It made intellectual sense. But love kept saying no, be still. Love kept saying no, be still. hmm I was fighting the ambition I had trained myself to have. Right, in order to do, PhDs and retire by 30, all that stuff. I mean, look, there's got to be a certain level of, at least I thought there had to be a certain level of ambition. I thought I needed to want it. So I was constantly getting after it in whatever domain I was taking part in, and I was getting after it instead of being who I actually am. I was getting after it instead of being who I actually am. These insights took me years, champ. And as I reflected on everything, everything's falling apart at this point. And as I'm reflecting, a thought came to me, and it was like, you know what? Most of my clients with type 2 diabetes didn't have a problem with diabetes. They actually had a problem with directing their own minds. And so my lifelong passion for consciousness, for transformation, for the inner world, okay, that lit up again. I was like, oh, having gone through this journey, I've learned something about myself. That's cool. Love reminded me of my true skill set, the one I had ignored in the name of ambition. Love reminded me of my true skill set, the one I had ignored in the name of ambition. I was just like James, which is why when he said, what I'm saying, like, yeah, I've been chasing money. I've been just kind of blinded by the ambition these other parts of my life kind of just, well, they kind of fell more flat. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I know what that's like. For James, that may not mean he may need to find new friends. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea what that means for him. My purpose is to get back in alignment with that source that already knows what to do. Instead of trying to become a slave to my own ambition, I'm telling you, I realized the real question of my life wasn't how do I build a business? It was how do I just do what I love right now? The real question wasn't how do I build a business? The real question was how do I do what I love in this very moment. Answering that question led me away from a business I did not love. And of course, toward the work that would become Transcendent Psychology, Countdown to Breakthrough, and yes, the Breakthrough Live as well. And so I learned one of the most important lessons. I learned that when you stop shrinking yourself to desires and start building your life from love, the real you finally appears. And so if you're understanding what I'm saying, put a yes in the chat. Put a yes in the chat. Because I'm telling you, that was one of my biggest failures. Like, how did you drop the ball on that one? You had everything lined up. Everything. Everything except the one thing that matters most. Did not have God alignment, did not have love frequency. When I say love, I'm talking about the end of separation. I'm talking about total oneness. I'm not talking about an emotion. I'm talking about the unitary force behind all existence. I'm talking about love as substance moving through you. Put yourself out of alignment with it. It don't matter what else you got aligned. It don't matter what else, bro. I'm telling you, access to like what? Like what? You have everything. You're in perfect position to make a run for, like you could say, like, yeah, like capital raising. We talk about, the Series A and all. So you can make your little run for being in the networks that provide the sort of capital that you're talking about, as long as you have the traction and you dig what I'm saying, the numbers and all that. And we were pacing for that. Pacing. I thought about that the other day. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's like without that mistake, I wouldn't have learned the most important lesson of my life. I wouldn't have understood that following this energetic sequence, this substance, it cannot be put off. You cannot wait and be like, oh, yeah, I'll get the paper first and then I'll do what I love. No, no, no. It compromises your ability to even get to the paper. I was not the one who could bring that organization forth. It doesn't matter that I had all of the skills, the know how, the connections, that I was the one who was a hustler. It didn't matter. Without having this unitary substance directing my steps, I simply ran out of gas. But see, that's what desire does, doesn't it? And ambition and desire is the same thing. That's what ambition does. That's what desire does. It has you shrinking, has you thinking about one narrow facet of life over and against all others, which means you can't even appreciate the unique gifts, inner and outer, that God has provided to you. When I say God, I'm talking about nature. I'm talking about the fabric of reality, not a guy in the sky. But you can't even appreciate the unique gifts that God has given to you because you're too dang focused on that one thing. You feel me?